A major Supreme Court decision on the mutilation of kids strikes a massive blow against the Rainbow Mafia and the doctors who perform these heinous surgeries. That's coming up next on Educated.
Let's get educated. That's why we're here, to bring you the stories impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses. It's time for a little education.
Well, hello everyone. I am Katie Petrick, and I'm flying solo today here on Educated, but hey, don't worry. David will be back next week, and actually, he did have Worldview Matters this morning. He had on Jake Weedman, who you got to take a look because he is an artist and a man of faith, and so you can check that out. Make sure you head over to worldviewmatters.tv and watch today's episode. So, before we get started, Freedom Project Academy. Have you heard of it? It's our Judeo-Christian online school, and it is currently, right now, this minute, enrolling for the fall. Now, FPA offers live, anytime, and homeschool courses for students in pre-kindergarten all the way through high school. Visit freedomforschool.com and use the code EDUCATED15 to save 15% on all of your courses. Again, visit freedomforschool.com to learn more. Well, the Supreme Court, kudos, Supreme Court, because sanity has been restored at least just on this issue. They ruled last week, which interestingly enough falls in June, which is the current month that, Pride is happening. Some would call it Pride Month. The rest of us call it 30 days until we can get back to sanity. But the Supreme Court ruled last week to uphold a Tennessee law which prohibits transgender drugs and surgeries. I won't say for children because it's really against children. And it's a major win now for conservative activists, parent groups, and most of all, our children. So let's take a look and see how all of this actually happened.
Tonight, the Supreme Court's conservative majority upholding Tennessee's ban on some gender-affirming medical care for transgender minors, clearing the way for 24 states to continue enforcing similar bans. In the 6-3 decision, Chief Justice John Roberts citing evolving science and profound implications, rejecting the argument that denying trans kids access to puberty blockers and hormone therapy amounts to sex discrimination. Roberts writing the issue should be left to the people, their elected representatives, and the democratic process. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, joined by liberal justices Kagan and Jackson, dissented in sadness, writing the court's decision inflicts untold harm to transgender children and the parents and families who love them. The sponsor of the Tennessee ban praising the court's decision.
The court affirmed what we believe, and that is that states do have a compelling interest to protect kids.
I won't say I'm optimistic.
LW, a trans teen who brought the case and asked us not to show her face, told us last year she'll keep pursuing the treatments in another state because they changed her life.
I think really the big difference was when I got on hormones. That was incredibly helpful.
David, an estimated 100,000 transgender teens and their families live in states where those treatments are banned, but today's ruling has no impact in other states where gender-affirming care for minors remains legal.
All right, so basically we're about halfway there to the rest of the country being back to common sense and understanding that God made two genders, two sexes, male and female. He made them. And so the fact that the court ruled 6-3 in the United States versus Scrimeti, that case, you can look up and get all the comments that were made, all of the opinions. And again, we saw Chief Justice John Roberts penning the court's opinion. When it's a 6-3 decision, in our mind, now, like in this day and age, basically, that's huge. Everything seems to be, any of these big cases come down to that 5-4 split, but it's a 6-3. And really, it should be 9-0. But as we know, we have the left liberal wing of the Supreme Court, which apparently was, what was it? Dissenting in sadness? Tear? It says all you need to know. When you have one of the Supreme Court justices in her dissenting opinion writing that they dissent in sadness, emotion, feelings, because that's all they have is feelings, instead of looking at this logically and with human dignity like everyone else would. You have children who decide, oh, I'm not a boy, I want to be a girl, or oh, I'm not a girl, I want to be a boy. The very next day, they want to be Superman or Superwoman or a dog or a cat. Their prefrontal cortexes are not fully developed, and yet we think that they should be able to have genital mutilation, have puberty blockers, things that will affect them for the rest of their lives. We think it's okay if their feelings are fleeting, and we should not allow these children to be making these decisions. But we have 3 justices on the Supreme Court who think, yeah, they should. And that's what the scary part of this is. This is a great decision for Tennessee, if you live in Tennessee. And it's a great decision moving forward because it's hopefully going to give the momentum that the rest of the states can carry this out. And we can put to bed the nonsense that believes that we should be able to cut off, mutilate genitalia of our children. Now, if you're an adult and you want to make those decisions, you're an adult. But we're doing this to children. And that's where everyone needs to stop and remember sanity. And so when Chief Justice John Roberts actually put out into his court opinion, and he wrote, notably absent from the framing that was from the plaintiffs is a key aspect of any medical treatment, the underlying medical concern the treatment is intended to address. What medical concern do these transgender surgeries have? I'll wait. It's all up here. It's all emotion. It's all feelings. There's no reason for any doctor to cut off any piece of a child. If you go in and your arm hurts, they take a look at your arm. If there's a reason to amputate, they will. But just because you feel like you may be a different sex doesn't mean you need to have anything chopped off or reconstructed. Doctors should know this. And yet we have doctors who are more than willing to basically abuse these children. And why is that? How much money are they making off of each and every one of these surgeries? It's not just a few dollars. Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on these surgeries and giving out these puberty blockers. That's why this is happening. This is why it's been allowed to happen, because doctors are profiting. And that, my friends, is what we should really be pushing back against as well. Now, I just want to get to one more thing that Chief Justice John Roberts said. He said he rejected the plaintiff's argument that the law discriminates on the basis of sex. He says the law does not prohibit conduct for one sex that it permits for the other. And that, my friends, is why he is Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and not just some low-level lawyer, first-year law student even. He understands that while there's no discrimination if it's for both sexes, because there are only 2 sexes. So it is even right there. And that right there means your argument is null and void. Now, as we said, Justices Sonia Sotomayor wrote the dissent, and she was joined by Justices Elena Kagan and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Who were all of those Supreme Court justices nominated and then put on the Supreme Court by? Common sense presidents, or ones who completely lost their sense and are senile and or just corrupt? But either way, most of us do see this win as a common sense win. And to think about the fact that doctors are out there making the millions, I want to hit on one more time because someone said it better than I did, and I think you all deserve to watch it. So they're making millions ultimately of dollars on these surgeries and the consultations that are being done. And so take a listen at another's opinion.
It should be 9-0, but the 3 left-wing justices think that there is a federal constitutional right that prevents states from regulating gender mutilation surgeries on kids, pills and surgeries on kids. These are kids who are depressed. Maybe some of them are gay. Maybe some of them have gender dysphoria. Maybe it's social contagion. But these states have decided that they want to outlaw these procedures because these are life-destroying procedures on kids. And there is an industry growing around this where they're making a lot of money making these kids their guinea pigs.
But the doctors and the hospitals that are making millions of dollars off this, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. It's totally demonic and corrupt.
Yeah, it's monstrous. These people who are performing these surgeries on these kids who could not give informed consent for these pills and surgeries are monsters. Can the state ban doctors from cutting off kids' limbs? Of course the state can do that. So why couldn't the state ban these doctors from cutting off the kids' genitals and destroying their lives?
Yeah. Think about it for just like 2 seconds. Jim says this is like the Dobbs decision. These parents will just drive over state lines to transition their poor children. He's right. Jim, you are right. This is what's going to happen. And I guess thankfully we have at least half the country who's in agreement with this, but that means half of the country is not in agreement. And yes, you can drive over state lines just like you can to go get an abortion in a state that is A-okay with that. And you saw in that news package that, yeah, if I believe I am a boy, then I need to go have things removed on me. And I can do that if I just head 2 states over. Totally worth it to me. For now, right? That's the logic that's coming up. Urchat, I think, says you can't rebuild something that was never there. So it's not reconstruction, it's modification. I have to agree. It's just about money, and it should be outlawed in whole. They have laws under which you see self-mutilation as typically as an indicator of, mental illness. Yes. And yet here we are with 3 justices of our Supreme Court, which is supposed to be the ones who uphold the laws or make sure the laws are just. And yet 3 of them believe kids should be able to cut off whatever bits that they want. It's nonsense. It's scary. It is mutilation and harm. But that's what a lot of these people who believe in all of the LGBTQ, all the alphabet, transgenderism, like all of that umbrella group, they believe in. And so we have another example. If we go to Illinois, where, they think that our children should be attending these youth camps that are all about LGBT youth. And it's being promoted and kind of funded with or supported by groups that actually do distribute tucking underwear and other chest binders and various and sundry other types of modifying entities for your body if you don't view your body as the way God made you. Now, this is, again, happening in Illinois. It's an Illinois YMCA. Wait a minute, YMCA. I thought that was a Christian organization once upon a time. It was. But an Illinois YMCA is hosting this LGBT-themed camp for second graders alongside the activist organization that hands out these, gender-affirming clothing and tucking underwear, chest binders, just to name a few. It's the Stevens Family YMCA in Champaign, and it's hosting Camp Kaleidoscope, a program designed for the LGBTQ plus youth or youth who are part of the LGBTQ plus families. Now, the camp is offered at interestingly, privately rented residential space in partnership with Uniting Pride of Champaign County. And again, that's the activist organization that distributes basically all sorts of items that is used so that you can alter your physical appearance. According to Uniting Pride, Up and Away offers free binders and waist cinchers for residents of Illinois who want them but are not able to afford them or who are not able to safely purchase them on their own. So you give it to them like they're on the dark web. Thanks to a community donation, we also have a small amount of tucking underwear available. Uniting Pride. Now, according to this description of Camp Kaleidoscope, it's intended for LGBTQ youth or LGBTQ plus youth, or again, those youth who are part of those families, and it's run in collaboration with Uniting Pride of Champaign County. Camp provides children with daily summer adventures that promote a healthy spirit. Really? healthy spirit, mind, and body in a safe space where campers can meet new friends, learn team building, and experience character growth and development. This camp is a full-day camp, which takes place at an off-site location for 5 days. Yes, off-site and away from everyone so that they can, in private, do what? Anyway, back to the description. The off-site location is a privately rented residential space and includes woods. Great. Trails, a pond, indoor meeting space, indoor recreation, and more. Campers will travel by bus from the YMCA each day. Campers will spend time indoors and outdoors as our experienced staff leads them in a wide variety of recreational activities, including arts and crafts. I wonder if they're allowed to use just one color or if they must use the rainbow and everything. But I digress. Group games, cooking, and swimming. The goal of our camp is to experience joy and recreation while creating a safe environment for youth who are part of the LGBTQ plus community to be authentically themselves. Now, here's my question. This is for 2nd through 5th graders. Now, there's technically 2 camps. One that's for those 2nd through 5th graders, and then one the following week or a couple weeks later, that's for the 6th through 9th graders. But let's just focus on the 2nd through 5th graders. How many of them don't feel safe to be authentically themselves in 2nd grade? How many of them believe that they have LGBTQ plus something tendencies? Or how many of them have actually been told they do? And that's why they feel like they have to go to this camp, that they are not safe unless they are surrounded by other people who are supposedly just like them. This is the question I wonder for you. Now, when you take a look at the program guide, this is what's most interesting to me, and it really shows what the YMCA is attempting to do. They have in their description all the different camps listed. And, you know, it's week 1 all the way through week 11. And they're advertising all of the different options. Why, oh why, friends? Out of every camp that you could have possibly advertised in the bottom right corner, you choose Camp Kaleidoscope. Unless maybe there's an alternative motive. Couldn't you cheer for or put up there the mini gym or soccer or art, Pokemon? There's a Harry Potter one, Steam, games galore, mini explorers. Wouldn't that actually include more people? Isn't this all about being inclusive? Shouldn't you put in that corner then one that would reach more of the possible people? Or do we have an agenda? And that, my friends, is why we put in the little corner there, Camp Kaleidoscope. Because we are really trying to subtly, not so subtly, push this agenda onto 2nd through 5th graders or 6th through 9th graders. Camp Kaleidoscope. It's what they're doing. All right, well, hey, we have some more to talk about, including an Arkansas lawsuit that claims the state's new requirements to post the 10 Commandments in school is forcing kids to believe terrible things. You know, like, thou shalt not murder. Yeah, we'll be back in a moment.
Catch Freedom Project's lineup of shows daily at noon Central. Starting on Monday, we have Educated. On Tuesday, we have the Dr. Duke Show with Vicki McKenna. Wednesday continues with another episode of the Dr. Duke Show with Dr. Jake Jacobs. Thursday, we have One Nation. And Friday, we wrap up the week with another episode of Educated. Catch Freedom Project's lineup of shows daily at noon Central.
Well, continuing our theme, that is this month of June, the month of Pride, you have your usual nonsense, right? We've been talking about the usual nonsense and parades and picnics and all that and waving the rainbow flag. Yeah. Well, now you also claim that while they're literally pushing all that in your face all the time, everywhere, chest binders, we talked about in the last story, and tucking and all the other things, tucking underwear, that, yeah. Apparently, though, having just a sign, little poster, that has the 10 Commandments hanging on the wall, that, my friends, that is what's truly discriminatory. Not you wanting to have your kids take puberty blockers. No, that's A-okay in their book. The 10 Commandments, though, on a poster? Oh, for shame, for shame. Well, several families decided to file a lawsuit against Arkansas school districts in the month of June over the new law that mandates the 10 Commandments being displayed in all public school classrooms and buildings. Let's take a look.
We have seen a little bit more of religion in public spaces, and there is room for that in some places, but certainly not in a public school classroom where this is coercive towards students.
John Williams is the legal director for American Civil Liberties Union of Arkansas. This is just one among other groups who are representing families who say Act 573 violates their civil rights.
Act 573 from this year requires the 10 Commandments to be posted in every public school classroom and library. So that is what we are challenging. They're worried about the effect of this religious document being confronted by their children every day they're in the classroom. And they're concerned about that impinging upon the way they instruct their children in religious matters.
I reached out to Governor Sanders, who said, and I quote, "In Arkansas, we do in fact believe that murder is wrong and stealing is bad. It is entirely appropriate to display the 10 Commandments, the basis of all Western law and morality, as a reminder to students, state employees, and every Arkansan who enters a government building," end quote. Williams says the law mandates that the version of the 10 Commandments to be posted comes from a specific version of the Christian Bible.
At least those who are religious believe that religious instruction should occur not in a public school. That should occur in a religious setting.
All I have to say is, how do you understand the founding of America without referencing back to the 10 Commandments? Sanders said it best. It is entirely appropriate to display the 10 Commandments. All is it? Display the 10 Commandments, not preach every day and put your hand on a Bible and say that we will follow the 10 Commandments, just to display the 10 Commandments, the basis of all Western law and morality. But as we know, friends, we've been trying to get rid of morality for sure and completely distort Western law, Western civilization, the understanding of history, or herstory as we're being told you have to do now. And that's, if you agree with them saying that you can't just display the 10 Commandments, then you better also agree with the fact that you can't have a pride flag up. Because that's a religion too. But here in the month of June, that's all you see everywhere. I mean, unless you've been lucky enough to hide in your house this whole time, which good for you on that matter. But of course, with that law was actually being put forth in April, it's supposed to be set to actually take place now and be enforced here in August. So there was a lawsuit, and that lawsuit specifically stated that these children and their families adhere to an array of faiths, and many do not practice any religion at all. There's a problem with that. We know that. Nevertheless, because of Arkansas Act 573 of 2025, all of these students will be forcibly subjected to scriptural dictates day in and day out. It just has to be displayed, like on the wall. Students can't even read the whiteboard in which the teacher's pointing at and saying, your homework is due tomorrow. Here. Do you think just having the 10 Commandments hanging way over here, just doing its thing, is really, really going to affect anyone? Do you? It's a gentle reminder of maybe you shouldn't kill or steal or covet thy neighbor's wife. But yeah, somehow that's big bad religion coming in. Now, just so everyone knows, there was a panel of 3 federal appellate judges who ruled that yes, requiring the 10 Commandments to be posted in each of the state's public classrooms is unconstitutional. Great. Leave it up to 3 people to say it is unconstitutional because, pride or something. But this will continue on. There are plenty of states that are actually enforcing this. We have Texas actually put this in. Louisiana in 2024 was the first state to implement the 10 Commandments. So the fight's not over. the fight will continue because, hey, that's how America was founded anyway. We fight. All right. Well, hey, that's going to wrap up this episode of Educated, and we will be back again next Monday. And hopefully David Fiorazzo will be sitting just next to me. But as always, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting what we do. Until next time, stay educated.